Hey, ladies and gents, and welcome to the Controlled Interest Gamecast. We're talking about video games and everything happening in the industry. As always, I'm joined by Jordan and Dominic. What's up, guys?
Hola!
Hey. And unlike always, we have a special guest, Blessing. How's it going?
Hey, what's up?
He's part of the Kind of Funny community. We asked him if he wanted to be in a collaboration with the podcast. He decided to come on, so we're very happy to have him. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, as always, we get into what we've been playing first off, so I'm going to be going first. I played Child of Light. It came out like 2 years ago. I never got into playing it. I had it on my backlog. This week, I just felt like picking it up and trying it out. I don't want to go too long on it because I know Jordan's going to be playing it soon. And maybe we'll have a discussion about it or something. But the combat system's really cool. Have any of you guys played Child of Light?
Not yet.
I started it on PC, but then just decided to wait until I could play it on Vita.
Yeah, it's a really fun game. My playthrough was maybe 5.5, 6 hours, but I was doing a lot of like the side quests and like trying to perfect the game. If you just play through and just have a good time, it will probably take about 4.5 hours. Really fun game. Art style is amazing. That's kind of obvious. Combat's really cool. I've played a little bit of Overwatch, obviously. Talk about that later. I also played an hour of Inside, which is Xbox's new indie exclusive from Playdead, the guys who made Limbo. Fantastic game. Really quick.
Talk of the town.
Yeah, that game took what Limbo was and improved on it. I can't wait to see what Playdead does in 6 years. A lot of people have been saying that. This is arguably, to me, one of the best, if not the best, Xbox exclusive. And I'm only an hour in. Like, this game is really solid. This game has an atmosphere that's fantastic. Like, it's a really solid game.
Jared, is Inside on PC too?
Console exclusive, sorry.
Okay. So 2 weeks ago, it was the PSN and eShop sales that just dug a hole into my wallet. And this week, it was a Steam sale. Actually, I think it's still going on for the next week. So it's been like their big summer sale. And these sales are killing me. You got like
they're crazy. There's so many of them.
Yeah. And I already have 10 games or so in my backlog that I just don't have time to get to. So I do not need to be buying more. It's not even a money thing at this point. It's just I don't have time to play all these games. But I picked up Dragon's Dogma on PC for like $20. That was one. It was a last gen game, but I missed that, and I'm really into the Western RPGs, so I really wanted to. Well, I guess that's a Japanese game, maybe. Either way, it's action RPG. So that was one I haven't started it yet, and the reason I haven't started it yet is because I also picked up Walking Dead Season 2 from Telltale. I love Season 1, and I just never got to Season 2, so I'm actually already 3 episodes into it, and I actually think I like it a lot better than the first season. Which most people are the reverse, but there's a much cooler villain so far through 3 episodes that kind of took care of it. And also I'm having a lot of fun just making my Clementine a cold, hard killer, basically.
Dude, I did the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm just going balls to the wall. I wouldn't mess with her.
I'm with you, though. I thought Season 2 was a lot more solid than 1. I'm excited for Season 3 this fall. I cannot wait. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is that all you've been playing?
Yeah, this week. And a little bit of Oracle of Ages on 3DS, too, still.
Jordan, what about you?
So I was finally able to get back into The Witcher because of the update, which allowed me to lock on during combat. So now that I've been able to play that again and kind of get refreshed and, kind of get back into it a little bit, I'll have my Witcher 3 Wild Hunt review going up on the site pretty soon. And besides that, played a little bit of Persona, still chugging on through that game.
Trying to finish it before episode 20?
Yeah, so I'd say, Blessing, I guess you don't know about this. We made a bet that I would either... See, I'm 70 hours into Persona 3 on...
Oh, wow.
Playing the PS2 version on my PS3. And we made this bet that I would have to finish it by episode 20 or I would shave my beard and hair. So, I've still probably got about 30 hours of gameplay left, so we're about 2 episodes away. So really I'm just going to have to cram it and see what I can do there, but if not, who knows?
Fire up the razor.
Exactly. So there's that. And then really just because of the E3 press conference with Sony, I was having that God of War itch, so I got God of War Saga on PS3, which has all the God of War games except for Ascension, which I just played last year. So I beat all the games, so I'm just like replaying all of them at this point. and went back through Chains of Olympus, and looks really good on PS3 for a PSP game from way back when. But it's only like 6 hours, so I beat it in just about a day. And now I've moved on to God of War 1, so really enjoying those. A lot of people talk a lot of crap about the God of War series and like Kratos as a character in general, but I get where they were coming from, and plus they were back in the PS2 days when, you know, gaming was just kind of a different animal altogether. So I really enjoy God of War, even though people have a lot of nasty things to say about it. So there's that, and then I watched some really good movies this week. I saw last night I watched Green Room, R.I.P. Anton Yelchin. Then I saw The Conjuring the night before that.
Oh, The
so
Conjuring
good.
2?
And
So
no,
good.
the first one.
Oh, okay.
I
They're
haven't
both
seen
good.
the first one yet. And then crap, what else? I saw another good movie.
It wasn't Independence Day, 'cause that's what I saw.
Oh, I saw Jungle Book yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Awesome.
Yeah, so Jungle Book was really, really good. Totally recommend that movie. The Conjuring, shout out to Michael Huber over at Easy Allies. We were talking about them earlier. He's the one that recommended it on one of their podcasts and was just like raving about it. And usually I totally agree with his opinions, but I didn't think it was like amazing. But it's a solid movie if you're into horror and stuff.
Did you see it in the theater though?
And then The Conjuring, no, it was the original.
Horror movies are always
so-
better in the theater.
True, but I did turn out the lights and
Okay.
had the headphones
Fair
on
enough.
and all that, so I had the vibe.
That's good then.
And then yeah, last night, dude, watching Green Room, that movie. As soon as you guys get to check it out, I would totally recommend it because it feels like a thriller, but it really just jumps into being like a horror movie and just goes off the fucking rails like you wouldn't believe. So yeah, I would highly recommend Green Room whenever you can check it out.
Awesome. Blessing, what have you been playing this week?
So I've also been playing a lot of Persona 4 on the PS Vita. And yeah, it's really fun. I actually just got started. At least I feel like I've just gotten started. I started maybe a month ago or so, but I'm now just getting into it. Like I just started playing it more hardcore, and so I'm about 13 hours in. And I'm enjoying it. I'm starting to understand why people love this game. And so it's pretty fun. Jordan, let me ask you, who's like, I guess they call it waifu. Like people on the internet call it waifu. Who's like waifu for you?
So actually, it's funny. I was just listening to the E3 episode of Podcast Beyond before we were recording this, and they were talking all about Persona, and they were talking major shit about Yukiko.
Dude,
And I
I'm
was like,
saying.
dude, she's my girl. Like, she is
Exactly.
annoying as hell. And then, there's some girls that you meet down the road, but I just think Yukiko's got it going on, dude.
Dude, that's the same exact thing I was thinking when I was listening to that same episode of Beyond, and they're hating on Yukiko, and I was like, man, I actually love Yukiko. Like Yukiko, like if Yukiko was a real person, like I would like fall in love with Yukiko because she just seems cool. Like she's chill. Yeah, and she like nothing against Chie. Chie seems like a best friend to me.
Okay,
You know,
yeah.
like she's cool. Like she's a really really cool person. And in fact, I was like, at the beginning, I was kind of leaning towards her, just because
Yeah.
she had that fun personality, and Yukiko was a little bit too quiet for me. But then like after a certain point in the game, Yukiko kind of like gets it back together, and you're like, oh yeah, I
yeah.
started feeling Yukiko.
Same
But
thing
yeah, I've been
with
playing a lot of
Persona
Persona
3.
4. What was
With
that?
Persona 3, there's some of those girls in there that are just annoying as crap. Like, I couldn't even
Yeah.
stand being around them. So, yeah. That's how
Yeah,
I feel
so
about
far-
Chie.
So far, I don't feel like any of the characters are annoying. At least yet. I haven't gotten that far, and so I haven't met like Rise or some of the other people that people like to talk about. But so far, I really like the game. I really like the idea of venturing into different people's sort of subconscious, I guess. Really, really, really cool game. I've also been playing a lot of Overwatch, which has been sort of my crack for like since it came out. It's been crack for me, and so I've been playing it nonstop.
Y'all got any more of that Overwatch?
Oh yeah, and so I've been playing that nonstop, loving it. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what else more I can say about that game that hasn't already been said by people. It's amazing. It's very fun, and for me, it's been very much a social experience where I've been meeting more and more people online who've been playing Overwatch and playing with them, and having fun with them. And through that, meeting other people that play with them, and it's been sort of this chain reaction of meeting people who play Overwatch. And so it's like the first time I played a game that has been sort of a social experience like that. Like, not only is the gameplay good, but the social environment around the game is pretty awesome. So those are the two main games I've been playing.
So the first bit of news we're going to be talking about here is the Bioshock collection. That actually got announced today on 2K's blog. Yeah, super exciting. The piece I'm going to read about it is from Polygon, from Julie Alexander over at Polygon. And basically, after photo leaks yesterday, all but confirmed that Irrational Games' Bioshock series would be headed to current-gen consoles. Publisher 2K sealed the deal with an official announcement trailer today. Bioshock, the collection, will include Bioshock, Bioshock 2, unfortunately, and Bioshock Infinite, and will come with all additional single-player DLC. The collection will also feature director's commentary from creative director Ken Levine and lead artist Sean Robertson. So yeah, that's pretty much the story. The rest of it just goes into detailings about the remaster. Real quick, my thoughts on it. I think it's awesome. I didn't play any of the DLC for Bioshock Infinite, which Jordan has told me is really cool, and the way it ties into the original Bioshock is awesome.
Yes.
If I end up picking up this collection, it's definitely to play the first one in Infinite. I could care less about 2, really. It's not as bad of a game as people say, but it really doesn't scream Bioshock to me. I'm fine with not playing it. Bioshock and Bioshock Infinite are definitely the experiences I want out of this collection, but it is cool that there's a third game in there for $60. And all the DLC is awesome as well. Obviously, getting all of that. Minerva's Den. Yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on this Bioshock collection?
Bioshock Infinite is probably one of my favorite games of all time.
Wow.
I actually didn't play that much of the first one, and that's because I didn't have a PS3 when it originally came out, but I played a little bit of it, and from that little bit I played, I wasn't really feeling it. I wasn't really getting into it, and I think that's just because I didn't understand it that well. And later on, I played Infinite because I really liked the style of Infinite, and after beating Infinite, I felt like I understood Bioshock. I understood what they're trying to do. I really liked the story and stuff. But then I heard a lot of people talking about Infinite, and people were saying about how, like, Infinite's not as good as the first Bioshock, or Infinite's a lot more of an action game, and Bioshock 1 does a lot more with atmosphere and setting. And so I really do want to go back and play it. And so I'm probably going to get the collection, and yeah, I'm really hyped for it. I'm glad that they finally announced it, because I feel like everybody's known they're gonna do this for a while, even though they hadn't really said anything about it. But it's kind of just been assumed, because Bioshock is that series that you can do this with. You know, it's not like Prototype, where they kind of just remastered Prototype for no reason. People love Bioshock, and so I'm really glad they're remastering it. I'm really hyped to get back into it.
I am too. I'm because I played all 3. I actually like Infinite a lot more than most people too, but I really like this because who knows if there's ever going to be another Bioshock game at all, like a new one, right? Probably not.
There was a weird, I saw it somewhere, I don't know if it was Reddit or on a Facebook group, and this is all hearsay, but somebody was saying, I was Ubering somebody from 2K, and he like offhandedly just asked me, how would you feel about Bioshock in space? And I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. And then he just left. Like, as he was getting out of the car, he asked him, like, how do you feel about Bioshock in space? Which would be cool, because System Shock, people love System Shock, don't they? So,
yeah, I'm like 99% sure that they've already confirmed new Bioshock being worked on over at 2K.
Yeah.
I think it's like maybe 2K Marin, which is that's the studio that did Bioshock 2.
Also, don't you think it's weird that Ken Levine's name is still attached to this? Like, they have commentary with him since he's no longer there?
Yeah, that was actually one of the things that I was really excited about. I mean, he's no longer there, but, these are his games.
He is Bioshock, yeah.
Yeah, Bioshock 2, he didn't make that game, but he even had a hand in that one. So I was actually really excited when I saw that. It's like a little commentary or documentary series that they're doing. And then, yeah, it includes all the DLC, no multiplayer for Bioshock 2, but all the story DLC and all, like, the challenge maps and stuff like that. And then they said there was like a virtual museum where you can go and see like concepts that never made it into the game.
That's cool.
Which is very cool. So we were talking about how I was kind of pissed off at Square Enix for not allowing me to turn subtitles on and off in the Kingdom Hearts HD remixes for PS3.
Yeah.
And this is the type of stuff that I was talking about. When publishers do these remasters, I think adding these extra bonus features goes a long way for someone like me who I've mentioned on the show before that Bioshock is one of my favorite series, and I've played the games multiple times. But I'm definitely going to buy this probably once it's cheaper than 60. Just because I'm played Bioshock Infinite twice. I'm probably done with that, even though I really like it. But yeah, I'm excited for Bioshock 1 and 2. I never got around to Minerva's Den, the DLC for Bioshock 2. So yeah, even for me, someone who really loves the series and has been through it multiple times, I think there's still plenty of stuff to come back to.
Also, I want to say before we move on to the next story, even though I'm probably, when I do get this, it's not going to be physical, that cover art is gold. It's so well done.
It's awesome.
Yeah. It has the lighthouse and then Rapture, and then it has what's the name of Columbia. So the next story here, Nintendo. We're going to be talking about the NX since Nintendo doesn't want to. Over on GameSpot, we have a story here from Timur Hussein over at GameSpot. It says Nintendo didn't show NX at E3 because it was worried about copycats, says Miyamoto. So I'm just going to read right here. It says Shigeru Miyamoto has explained why Nintendo did not show its next gaming platform, codenamed NX, at E3 and passed up the opportunity to make a high-profile unveiling ahead of the hardware's launch in March 2017. Nintendo recently had a shareholder meeting in Japan, which was attended in live blog by Twitter user nStyle and translated by Cheesemeister. During this meeting, Miyamoto said NX wasn't at E3 because Nintendo was worried about copycats. Nintendo has provided very little details about what the NX is, though there has been much speculation on the patents and insider reports. It is believed that the NX will be a console and handheld hybrid featuring industry-leading tech, and there's also the rumor about cartridges. This is the second time Miyamoto has suggested Nintendo is holding back on a reveal in order to project a unique element. On June 27th, he said NX information was being controlled because there's an idea we're working on. In terms of NX, there's an idea that we're working on, he said through a translator. That's why we can't share anything at this point. And then it goes on to just say, yada, 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 we're not talking about NX. So, what do you guys think about him saying that they're afraid of copycats? Like, do you think Xbox and Sony are really even concerned with what Nintendo's doing at this point?
No, not at all.
I don't really like the statement at all. And I don't know, when they say copycats, like, they could be referring to PlayStation and Xbox, but then they could also be referring to, like, maybe generic brands. Maybe, like, you know how, like, when the Wii came out, they had, like, generic versions of the Wii with, like, a generic.
They're worried about some Ouya.
Yeah, maybe that's what they're worried about. But I also think that, one, if they're worried about that, they don't really need to be worried about that because, like, they're, in terms of quality, they're gonna be heads and toes, like, above any kind of generic brand. And if their fear is PlayStation and Xbox seeing what Nintendo's doing and try to copy them, then I think that's more like almost arrogance or like foolishness. Because if this console is truly coming out in March, then it's coming out soon, and so you don't need to be worried about announcing your console when it comes out in less than a year. Like, that's one. And two, in terms of Sony and Microsoft, like, their course is already set. And so, like, if you think that there's somebody out there who's going to develop something at, like, the NX and put it out before the NX comes out, and it's going to blow up, or it's going to mess with NX sales in any way, I don't think that's smart. But I mean, they're business people and I'm not. And so I'm sure there's some data there that I don't see or I don't know that could tell them, like, oh, maybe so and so can happen. But as far as what they're saying, I don't see it. I think it's
a really good point to bring up too, because they've said it before. I can't remember, it was probably Reggie or someone said that, yeah, they're not necessarily competing with Sony and Microsoft. They're really competing with Apple and Google and Amazon. They've said things, of that nature, which really makes me curious, even more curious about what the heck this thing is that they made. Because, yeah, like Apple has been rumored to making, an Apple TV that plays more games. Like, that's been a rumor for a while, right?
Yeah.
So who knows? Like, those other technology companies could kind of come into our gaming space besides just in the mobile platform. But
also, the thing we're not thinking about is, like, so I always joke about Nintendo and the fact that, it's dumb that they're trying to release a console that's not even going to beat any of the standards that PlayStation and Xbox are setting, right? But the thing is, if this is a mobile device, if I can play a game that looks like it's on Xbox One or PlayStation 4 on a mobile device, and it looks that crisp and clear, that's something different. It is something different to have a handheld that has that kind of strength, and power behind it. So there is something there. If anything, Nintendo does do handhelds pretty well. So I'm interested to see what this is. Like, I'm still on the fence of whether or not I'm going to buy one. But I still think I agree with you, Blessing. Like, why would they be so scared of something coming? Like, if they show it off and somebody copies them, it won't be out before the NX. And if it is, it won't be to the same quality standards that Nintendo sets. So it's like, it's really weird. To me, I think it's just that they're scared and they're trying to... Maybe they had reactions to the patent leaks and maybe they're scared and they're trying to fix it. Course correct before people find out what it is, So...
Well, and it seems to me like Sony and Microsoft are already leapfrogging Nintendo with the Neo and the Scorpio, aka Big Boy.
Big Boy, yep.
That is what we call the Scorpio here on the show, a blessing. But I just think, them thinking, oh, they're going to... Like, this is just classic Nintendo, where I'm like, guys, what the hell are you talking about? Like, just shut up, really.
It's very Japanese.
No one's trying...
Yeah.
Nintendo, no one is trying to copy you. No one wants to copy you. Like... You're a joke at this point. You can't think that everyone wants to get their grubby hands on what you have. Like, people in the gaming industry don't care what you have to say. That's why the Wii U was a failure. So what you need to do is come out and, like, really wow people so much that they couldn't copy you because you're so far ahead of everybody else. But that's not...
Well,
I don't think
and the problem is, too, is, like, Nintendo's games are always mostly solid. So, like, they're like, we're just going to put Zelda out there and let people talk about Zelda. That was going to be the case either way. People expect good games from Nintendo. That's not the case. People want to be won over with your hardware, and they're not doing that. So, finally, you show us our games. We're not worried about your games being bad. We're worried about your console not being good,
For example, I think one of the biggest reasons why Sony is winning this console generation is just because... they're giving the fans and the gamers, the audience, exactly what they want, exactly what they're asking for. And Nintendo is just giving themselves what they want. Like, Nintendo's making the games that they want. Miyamoto is making Star Fox for himself because God knows no one else wants those gyro controls. Like, they need to start making games for the fans and do what the fans want.
They're trying to do, an Apple of, well, the people don't know what they want yet until you give it to them type of thing.
Exactly.
But that only works. That only works when you're right, though. So.
Yeah. When you're like true visionaries, which they are not.
I also think that they're not being truthful. I think that there's another reason why they didn't show off the NX at E3, and I think that's just like the reason they're putting out there to like because they don't want to like say whatever their real reason is. And so, I mean, and if that is the case, then that's also a bad reason to put out there. But I think that is partly it, and I also think that. Maybe Nintendo doesn't want to show off their console too soon. I think maybe since it's probably going to be something somewhat gimmicky, given Nintendo, and I don't mean gimmicky in a bad way. I mean gimmicky isn't like it's gonna be something special, like kind of like what Nintendo does, like whether it's like with the Wiimote, with the screen or something else. I think it's gonna be like another one of those, not necessarily bad, but different. And I think what they might try to do is show it off like as late as they can, in order to like not let there be any fatigue between the time they show off what the console is and by the time they release the console, because I don't think they want it to like suffer from sort of what The Last Guardian is suffering from right now, where The Last Guardian was announced like 7 years ago or something like that, and now like it's showing up again. There are trailers coming out for it again, and people are kind of tired of it. People don't really care about The Last Guardian anymore, and I know this is like a lot shorter span than The Last Guardian, but they don't want to show off the NX right now. Then by the time the NX releases, people have already kind of been like, well, like people have kind of gotten tired of it before it comes out.
At the same time,
I don't know though.
At the same time, I just think that they need to remember that part of the reason the Wii U failed is because of the fact that nobody knew what the hell the Wii U was. Like, so many people thought that it was a Wii expansion, and they could even look at Sony with the Vita. Like, people loved the PSP but never knew that there was a successor to it. So you have to get out there and tell people about your console, or no one's going to buy it because they don't know about it.
Also, the naming and marketing plays a huge factor. I also think they're probably going to announce or show it off before the holiday season, or definitely at least before November. Just from a business standpoint, I would assume that you would, even though you're not launching in the fall, you definitely want people to think about it in the fall and maybe get those quote-unquote Nintendo pre-orders in. And I don't know, it's weird to me. This whole thing is weird to me. But let's get on to something more optimistic. We're going to be talking about Overwatch. So the last news story here, before we hop into the topics, is from Eddie over at GameSpot, who basically writes almost all of their stories. So Overwatch's competitive mode launched yesterday on PC, and it was assumed that it was actually going to be coming out for consoles next week. But the Overwatch Xbox One update adds competitive play and these balance changes that they listed in the article today. So I'm going to read you guys the article real quick. Blizzard released an update for Overwatch's Xbox One version today that, among other things, adds the highly anticipated competitive mode. The developer previously said the mode, which launched on PC this week, wouldn't come out until next week on console. It hasn't launched yet on PS4, but we'll keep you updated as to when it does. As detailed previously, Overwatch's competitive play mode is available after you reach level 25. Once you do that, it'll show up under the play button, yada yada yada. Another big thing in this patch is there was a couple of character nerfs. So McCree got nerfed and Widowmaker got nerfed. McCree was performing like really well against all characters, so they kind of wanted to nerf him. So the whole game is about balancing and making sure you pick characters for the right situation. So they felt he wasn't doing that. And Widowmaker's kiss scoped shot, which is when she aims in with her sniper rifle, the damage was decreased. And also they fixed a exploitation people are using where you could essentially quick scope people. They fixed that as well. And there's a bunch of bug fixes and stuff you probably don't want to hear about. But yeah, this is actually really surprising because, like they said in the article, competitive mode wasn't supposed to launch for consoles till next week, and it's weird that it came early on Xbox One because there was no indication that it was. How do you feel about this, Blessing? You're a big Overwatch player. Is this weird that it came to Xbox One first?
Yeah, it's weird that it kind of surprise dropped because I didn't hear a thing about it. Like, I didn't know about it until you said it, and I don't know. I don't know if they did it purposely. I don't know if they were just like, well, it's ready. You might as well just release it. If it's the case that it's on Xbox already, then I'm sure it'll have to come to PlayStation soon. Do you know? Is it out on PC already?
Yeah, it's already out on PC.
Okay. Yeah. I'm interested to see how people react to the competitive mode and to see if it's what people expect it to be. I'm interested to see if people have any complaints about it, or if to see if people are like, yeah, this is perfect for competitive mode. I can't wait till it comes to the PS4 because that's what I play on. And yeah, I mean, it's weird that it came to Xbox first, but I mean, I'm not really complaining because they announced it for next week, and so I'm still gonna wait for it for next week. But I'm not too salty about it.
Yeah, it's weird though. You guys have a bigger, or you guys, the PS4 has a bigger player base. Maybe this has something to do with them kind of making it work for the Windows architecture and stuff like that, and maybe it transfers over easier to Xbox One. I don't know any of that stuff. I'm not a developer. But yeah, this is weird. Do you guys think it's weird? I know you guys aren't super in Overwatch, but do you think it's weird that this update came first to Xbox One over PS4?
I'm curious because I've never actually thought about it before. Do updates typically come out, day and day on each console? Like, is that...
Yeah, most of the time.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends. Like, I remember when Witcher first came out, they were releasing Xbox One patches like a few days later than PC and PS4.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it just kind of depends.
It varies. There's no method to the madness, it seems like.
Yeah.
It's just really weird, though. It was super surprising, and it's not like it came out a couple of days before. It's like, if PS4's update doesn't launch till next week, then that's a whole week ahead, And this isn't like a small update. It isn't like a small patch or something. This is like an update that adds a completely different mode, like the longevity of this game.